I've chosen a reading this morning, and it's taken from Thinking Like a Mountain by John Seed. Our planet is in danger. We all know that on some level of our consciousness. The accelerating ecological crisis which threatens the survival of life on Earth is evident now not only to professional biologists, botanists, environmental scientists, but to all of us. It is evident in the quality of air we breathe, in the food we eat, in the rivers in which we can no longer fish or swim, in the waste dumps leaching their toxins into our water supplies, in news reports about oil spills and acid rain and holes in our ozone layer. We often assume mistakenly that people do not change because they lack information, and that the main job of activists is to provide it the missing information. But actually, we do not face it, do not integrate the information for fear of experiencing the despair that such information provokes. We fear it may overwhelm us. This refusal of feeling takes a heavy toll on us. It impedes our capacity to process and respond to information as we filter out anxiety-provoking data. But such feedback is precisely what we need to adapt and survive. Experience with group work has shown that this despair, grief, and anger can be confronted and creatively challenged. Far from being crushed by it, new energy, creativity, and empowerment can be released. Unblocking these feelings also opens us to experiencing our fundamental interconnectedness with life. Often after such experiences, people come together to form ongoing support groups or join existing groups to take action on peace or environmental issues. As soon as I find page 1, I'll move right into the service. Here we go. This reading describes precisely what happened with the children in our story for all ages. The Change the World kids felt anxiety over the problems that they heard about in news events surrounding them. They came together in a group and talked about it. They opened up their feelings and experienced firsthand their interconnectedness with life. They saw the way the pieces fit together, and they took action. A former president of our Unitarian Universalist Association, Reverend Peter Morales, once wrote, "Our central religious task is not to change opinions, but to change hearts." Group work, as John Seed called it. And guess what? We are the group. Helen Caldecott, who wrote If You Love This Planet, said unless we connect directly with the earth, we will not have the faintest clue why we should save it. We need to have dirt under our fingernails and to experience that deep, aching sense of physical tiredness after a day's labor in the garden to really understand nature. We need to spend days hiking in forests surrounded by millions of invisible insects and thousands of birds and the wonder of evolution. Spring is here, and my thoughts always turn to nature. My favorite haunting sound of spring is the Florida version of the whippoorwill. It's called chuck widows will. And I only learned that recently. There's actually a distinction. You will hear one later as we collect our offering. I've got a 1-minute recording. I heard them again last night. They always tell me spring is here. I listen for them to see when the first night is that I will hear them, usually at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I thought of these things as I sat outside my trailer the last 2 days working on this sermon. The moon peeked out and I thought about this message and the way we really are connected. I thought about our seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of which we are a part. And I thought about that old poem about the spider and the fly. I saw a cartoon. It was a spider saying, "Time's fun when you're having flies." "Will you walk into my parlor?" said the spider to the fly. "'Tis the prettiest little parlor that ever you did spy. The way into my parlor is up a winding stair, and I've many a curious thing to show when you are there." "Oh, no, no," said the little fly, "to ask me is in vain, for who goes up your winding stair can ne'er come down again." But the spider in the poem continues to wait so patiently and spins her web of compliments, entices the fly with an offering of rest, with food, with flattery. And a silly question came to me. Upon this web of life, am I a spider or a fly? Some of you may be thinking that's not much of a choice. They're both pretty creepy. We may even have some arachnophobes among us. You must have a real tough time with that interdependent web thing that we talk about so much. Have you ever been walking through the woods, along a trail, or under some great majestic live oak tree, like the ones that were in my front yard where I lived in East Palatka with Gail's property on the river? You're walking along and you run into a spider web. It hits you right in the face. And now, if you're like me, the first thing you think is what? Where's the spider? And what kind of spider? How big is the spider? It's one of those giant banana spiders, or maybe a wolf spider, or some fuzzy-legged scary thing. Congratulations, you just received a lesson on how a fly might feel. I have often felt that way myself, caught up in all the sticky elements of life, minding my own business, and boom, suddenly stuck in a web of problems. No simple solutions, no easy way out. I feel this way a lot of times when confronted with the big issues: global warming, poverty, war and economic inequality, environmental problems. They too are all interconnected in life's web. But then I remember the Change the World kids. I remember that life is all about relationship. I remember no one can do everything, but everyone can do something. The fly is helpless in a condition they feel is not of their own making. Nothing I can do about it but struggle against the poor, against the overwhelming odds. Poor me. Struggle, struggle. Like the fly in the famous poem, we often do not see the role that we ourselves have played in our deadly dance with the spider's web. John Seed wrote that we must come to understand that life forms do not constitute a pyramid with our species at the apex, but rather a circle where everything is connected to everything else. We must realize the environment is not out there. He called it human chauvinism. The idea that humans are the source of all value, the measure of all things, is deeply embedded in our culture and our consciousness. Be fruitful and multiply, God said, and fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. We followed that precept, didn't we? According to the author of Genesis, God said to Noah, "And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, and upon all that moveth on the earth." And every week I witness the results of this insane philosophy as some of the most majestic creatures left on earth live out the remainder of their pathetic lives locked in cages at the St. Augustine Wild Reserve because their usefulness to humans has been spent. It should be those humans locked in cages. And truth be told, we are. Because, quote, "whatever befalls the earth befalls the children of the earth." We did not weave the web of life. We are merely a strand in it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. Sometimes we have to stand and say, "You're wrong. That is wrong-headed thinking and behavior. I don't care what it says in the Bible or the Koran or the Book of Mormon. I don't care if some 5,000-year-old prophet, seer, sage, or wise man, some guru sitting on a mountaintop, predicted or interpreted some voice or vision. It is antiquated teaching, and it's killing us." Too many times I find myself dancing around some issue. I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. Their religion is their business. But in the web, we are all related. And we are convicted by our principles to stand for justice and to search for truth, and to do it in community. We need one another. We need Unitarian Universalism. So are you a spider or a fly in the web of life? Do you feel trapped in a sticky web, feeling helpless? Or do you understand why now more than ever we are co-conspirators in the dilemma facing us? Do you understand why we need each other? How can we change the direction of the world? The only cure is love, said Helen Caldecott. Fall in love with it all over again. The people, plants, and places that you know. Reintroduce yourself to life. Arnie Ness, who is also in the book Thinking Like a Mountain, the father of deep ecology, says the essence of deep ecology is to ask deeper questions. We ask, which society, which education, which form of religion is beneficial for all life on the planet as a whole? The deep ecology movement in the 1980s recognized that, quote, nothing short of a total revolution in consciousness will be of lasting use in preserving the life support systems of the planet, end quote. 1980. Let me tell you about Earth Hour. Anybody know about Earth Hour? Have you heard of this? It's been going on for a while. Earth Hour occurs at 8:30 p.m. local time on the last Saturday in March. And we just missed it. Did anyone participate? Well, let me tell you. Earth Hour started in Sydney, Australia in 2007, when the city voluntarily turned off all non-essential lighting for 1 hour. The next year, Earth Hour went global. 435 cities participating in 35 countries in 1 year time. Earth Hour 2011 took place in a record 5,251 cities and towns in 135 countries and territories in all 7 continents. It had an estimated reach of 1.8 billion people across the globe. Some of the world's most well-known landmarks, including the Eiffel Tower, Buckingham Palace, Golden Gate Bridge, Table Mountain, Christ the Redeemer statue, and the Sydney Opera House, switched off their lights for Earth Hour's global Lights Out event. The UUA says, we understand that turning off our lights for 1 hour a year does not even put a dent in our energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. But what it does do is encourage us to reflect on what they call energy justice. To ask, what is the real cost of the energy to power the lights that you normally have on during this hour? It would be nice, wherever we are, alone or with our families or in communion with one another, to pause in quiet darkness for 1 hour next Earth Hour. Or at any time. We could do this collectively. Light a candle, share a ritual, sit with nature, reconnect with one another, and re-energize our commitment to the earth. Perhaps we can even whisper an ironic twist on these Passover words from our hymnal, number 453, which is used for a chalice lighting. And I have changed one word. May the light we now extinguish inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. So may it be. Amen.